What was the first music recording you ever bought on your own? Styx Paradise Theater on record. It was the original recording that had the laser etching on it. I think the other two albums I bought the same day or very soon after were Escape by Journey and High Infidelity by REO Speedwagon. P.S. Yes, I realize I am an old fuck, but when I started buying music, all we had was vinyl or those really shitty cassette tapes that wore out after a year. CDs were still a good 5 years away. Probably the cassette of Stormfront, by Billy Joel, most famous for its inclusion of We Didn't Start the Fire, an ear-blisteringly popular song at the time, and which my 14-year-old mind was dazzled by. I loved that fucking song. I also enjoyed other songs on the cassette, but the only one I still remember was the Downeaster Alexa, which was actually pretty cool, too. Elton John by Elton John 1970. My grandma let me pick any album and it was expensive, $3.99. She was dubious about my choices. I was only a first grader but let me use her hi-fi to spin it and she heard the song I wanted the album for, Border Song, and she was convinced. I still have the album and listen to it often and think of her. Megadeth, Rust in Peace. Poked fun at an older kid in a Megadeth jacket. He just silently loomed over me, long hair dangling, and said, "Next time I see you, you'll own a Megadeth album." Yeah, young little shit me went and bought a cassette that night and absolutely loved it. Next time I saw him we talked metal for hours. Probably the 45 of Billy, Don't Be a Hero, Link 3D or Little Willie Link 3D, which could be, in hindsight, a song about a ween lol. Blood, Sweat Tears Child is father to the man. Creedence Clearwater Revival. Creedence Clearwater Revival self-titled. The first albums I bought on my own. 1968, I was 14. The first 45 single I bought on my own was probably The Who's I Can See for Miles a year before when I was 13. Pretty sure it was Hot Tracks 1983 compilation on cassette. It had Police, King of Pain and Def Leppard, Rock of Ages. Van Halen 1984 came shortly after. My sister and I shared some others before that, but those were my first set me loose in the store and you can pick out one. The soundtrack to the Muppet Movie. I worked at a music store for my dad, who managed. I opened boxes of blank cassettes and counted them to make sure they were all there. I was 5, and it's obviously the best job I've ever had. I also received an employee discount. First, I'm really old. I think it was a 45 of Kansas Carry On My Wayward Son. I believe my first album was Lynyrd Skynyrd's One More from the Road. Both were purchased at a Corvitz on Long Island. They had records, and as I recall, a decent selection. Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory. My parents told me I could have 1 penny for every pine cone I picked up from the yard. I ended up finding about 1,000 and I had $10 saved up. I got my mom to take me to Strawberries and that's what I bought. Creedence Clearwater Revival, their debut album, was a cutout in the discount bin. I was 11 and only had a few bucks. Picked it because of the cover. I got lucky. I didn't have a player and my big brother would not let just any record on his. 1975, all on vinyl and still in playing condition. Purchased at one time in my first purchase. I may have bought a 45 or 2 before this purchase. Led Zeppelin, House of the Holy, and Led Zeppelin 4. Jimi Hendrix Experience, Electric Ladyland. Yellow, Coldplay. I had just bought a 1995 Toyota Avalon, had only a CD player, no smartphone or Spotify, and I wanted something to listen to on the way to work. The next day, I went back and bought the rest of their discography at the time. Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, Shooting Rubber Bands at the Stars. This was right at the beginning of CDs, and came in one of those long paper boxes. I'm not aware of too many things. I know what I know if you know what I mean. Marshall Mathers LP and Doggy Style. As a little ass kid my dad took me to the CD store since I had my own money and had enough for those two. Good times. Shortly after, the truck we had was broken into and they stole the bastards. Green Day, American Idiot. I remember my dad offering to play it in the car on the way back from Best Buy and immediately turning it off before the first chorus of the title track. Hard to believe that album turns 20 this year. I worked in my local bike shop around the age of 16. I would finish work and take my £25 cash and spend it all in Woolworths on new music every weekend. The first single I purchased was Gorillaz' Rock the House. First CDs purchased together, age 13. Buddy Holly Greatest Hits. Spirit soundtrack. First vinyl records purchased together, age 15. Cold Spring Harbor, Billy Joel. Time Out, Dave Brubeck Quartet. Not proud of this, but Erasure, I say. It was the 90s, I had never been to a music store and fell in love with the electronic sounds of the music. I still love electronic music. Erasure, no, Weird Al Lollapalooza CD. Not because I was a Weird Al fan. I actually had never heard of him. But the cover looked like the Jurassic Park logo and I was obsessed with JP. Turned out, I love Weird Al more. Walked into a Best Buy alone at 11 years old and bought the Marshall Mathers LP. My brother wanted it but he was too scared to buy it himself. Really surprised the cashier didn't ask for my parents. Foreigner's Head Games. My musical tastes have evolved and branched out enormously over time, but that album will always be special to me, for that reason. Plus, the songs are still pretty kick-ass. God's Son Nas. It's Dark and Hell is Hot DMX. Word of Mouth Ludacris. Got them all three at the same time. Got a Discman for my 12th birthday and grabbed these three from Walmart. All the edited versions, smiley face, smiley face. 1987 A Momentary Lapse of Reason by Pink Floyd. 25,000 lira for one CD. In Italy. On my money. After that I bought the entire Pink Floyd catalog. One every month. Been a PF lover since then. Signed up for Columbia House when I was around 11 years old. Can't remember what came but do remember getting in trouble and my dad spending an hour on the phone saying he's not going to pay for it. I was about 7 years old and my old man bought me a AC/DC Highway to Hell cassette tape. Later in middle school my folks bought me my first CD which was Creedence Clearwater. I had some cool parents. I don't remember what I bought myself but I do remember the first CD I ever had. It was a gift. Dark Horse by Nickelback. I was 13. The first one I bought was probably another Nickelback album. I think it was Tiny Timpa's Discovery album on CD. And if it wasn't that then it was Black Veil Bride's Wretched and Divine The Story of the Wild Ones Ultimate Edition on Google Play Music. It was the 45 revolutions per minute sing-along Cool Woman in a Black Dress by the Hollies. It is still one of the best songs ever, to me at least. I still have it, but it's probably in really bad condition. Culture Club's Kissing to Be Clever. It won over Billy Joel's and Nylon Curtain. I often wonder what direction my musical tastes would have taken if I'd chosen the other way around. Smash Mouth Ushima. It had the parental advisory sticker so I had to have my dad buy it. I'll never forget him saying Smash Mouth. That doesn't sound appropriate for kids. Eminem Stan when I was really young. It was a tape and I asked my dad if I could hear it in the car on the way home. I'll never forget his disappointed face when it came on. Ha 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 ha. I bought License to Ill by the Beastie Boys. My asshole dad caught me with it coming back to the station wagon and made me return it. Still it had the shrink wrap and price tag on it. Offspring Smash. Bought the tape on a school trip. My parents were very controlling of what I listened to. They only allowed Christian music. That album opened a new world to me. America's Hitmakers. Frankie Avalon on one side, Fabian on the other. Vinyl LP of course, it was in the 1960s. Songs like Bobby Sox's Stockings and Turn Me Loose. Lil Bow Wow Beware of Dog, which I got from Circuit City. I'm not ashamed to say it got me into hip-hop as a 6-year-old. We all start from somewhere in our fandom of music. Kiss Rock and Roll Over came with a huge sticker off the album cover that I probably stuck to something that I shouldn't have. Bought at Value Mart in Bellevue, Washington. 1974 Tell compilation titled Music Power. 22 original hits, 22 original stars. I think I bought because it had Brownsville Station Smokin' in the Boys Room on it. Feeding Frenzy Jimmy Buffett Live. I bought it because it had most of his songs I liked. I didn't realize how much I would like the live versions of them. R.I.P. Other than parents buying for me. A fucking 1 minute long ringtone of some Linkin Park song from my Razr flip phone. Shit was like $7.99 or some shit. I was dumb. Presidents of the United States of America, self-titled. I was in 7th grade and it was not only the first album I ever bought, but also the first CD in my house. Hybrid Theory. I was 11, bought with lunch money. I played that one CD using my dad's big ass stereo and it made afternoon homework something to look forward to. Skid Row self-titled, on CD, in a big cardboard sleeve, from Sam's Club. We didn't have a CD player yet. It was almost a year before we got one. 18 in Life, bought the same day 1985 Chicago Bears Super Bowl Shuffle 7-inch and Stacey Q2 of Hearts record after seeing her on an episode of The Facts of Life. Please Hammer Don't Hurt M by MC Hammer back in 1990. I saved up my allowance to get that album on tape, and I played it non-stop, much to my father's horror. Glenn Miller, in an attempt to get my dad to buy a CD player. What a stupid Christmas present that was! Also, the store I bought it from is now a mattress store. I bought 2 singles on tape at the same time from Woolworths. The Course, Runaway I think, and Chef Chocolate Salty Balls. I was a complex child. It was a Puff Daddy single Come With Me that was promoted alongside the 1998 Godzilla movie. My dad heard it and said it sounded a lot like Led Zeppelin. QOTSA Songs for the Deaf. I bought it for their hit No One Knows and was really disappointed with the rest of it at first but slowly came to love all of it. Bill Haley The Comets Greatest Hits Volumes 1 and 2. It was the 70s, but in England where we lived at the time, there was a weird 50s music resurgence. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 turned me all up and all around once I spun it. First white kid in my neighborhood to get this record. So cool! A 45 RPM of theme from The Greatest American Hero Believe It or Not by Joey Scarbury and Mike Post. I bought 2 Ahab the Arab by Ray Stevens and My Son the Nut by Alan Sherman. Yes, I am old. First R&R album would have been Crosby, Stills, and Nash. For Christmas, my older sister got me the cassette of Scorpions' Love at First Bite but I exchanged it at the store for Bryan Adams' Reckless. Within the Realm of a Dying Sun by Dead Can Dance. I think the first album I ever bought with my own money was Jen Blossom's New Miserable Experience. It's still one of my favorite albums. Born to Rock the Chipmunks and the Chipettes. The first CD I ever bought was Bad Out of Hell 2 by Meatloaf. I was in the 4th grade and obsessed with I Would Do Anything for Love.